Hey guys, I'm Steph from Render Me This, and welcome to the VStitcher's Basics course. If you've ever been interested in 3D apparel, you're in the right place. In this course, we are going to go over all the basics of VStitcher so that you walk away with a firm and confident understanding. You don't need any experience in apparel or any experience in 3D because we're going to go through all the foundations. Let's get started with the first course and make sure everything is set up. To start this course, you're first going to need to go to Browzwear.com and apply for a license through their Indie program. When you navigate to Browzwear.com, you'll go to Why Browzwear and For Independent Users. You will then submit an application for the Indie program. This includes students, freelancers, and small businesses. You'll fill out the form, check the checkbox, and click Submit. Once your application has been processed, in your inbox you'll receive an activation email. You'll select Activate, and then you will create an account for your license. After you've received your license and it's all set up, you'll need to download the software from the Help website. When you navigate to the Help website, you'll see a Downloads button. When you select the Downloads button, it will prompt you to log in or sign up. You will need to create a separate account for the Help website as this is independent from your license. Once you are able to log in, you'll see that there are several different versions of the software offered to you. I suggest doing not the most recent version, but the one prior to that, as your license may not be eligible for the most recent. You will then select either Mac or Windows and download the installer. Now, once you have both of those things done, we can go ahead and launch the software on our computer. To load the software, you are just going to double-click on the VStitcher icon. Your splash screen may be different than mine, that's okay, you're probably just in a different version. I'm currently working in 2022.1.3. When it opens, you can see there is no file loaded here. If I hit the Tab key on my keyboard, I'll be in split screen mode. The left side is my 2D window and the right side is my 3D window. If it opened like this, just hit, again, Tab on your keyboard to go to split screen. To load the file into my software, I'm going to do File, Open, and then select my already created file. I'm currently going to use this robe file, so I'll select the file and click Open. Note that if you are trying to import patterns and create a garment on your own, we will get to that in the next lesson. Currently, we are opening an already created Browzwear file. When I select Open, I can see my 2D patterns appear on my left-hand side, still nothing on my 3D side, as I will need to load what we call a snapshot. A snapshot is a 360-degree view of our loaded garment on our avatar. To load my snapshot, I'm going to go to the upper center part of my screen. I'm going to click the drop-down, and I'm going to select Snapshot. When I select it, it will load the 3D garment on my avatar, and I can see it on my right-hand side. It will also sync whatever avatar you were using within this file, as long as you save that within the file as well. Now let's go ahead and review some of the interface of the software. It can be overwhelming when you first look at all the tools, but when you break them down into groups, it's very, very easy. In the upper left-hand corner, there are several different workspaces we can choose from. We have Home, Animation, Colorway, Fold and Hang, and 3D Review. Currently, we are only going to review our home workspace, but note that if I do select one of the others, my screen completely changes into a different workspace. Next to our home, we have our save buttons as well as recent files. If I select this drop-down, I can select different files I was previously working on. I can click Save, and I also have Undo, History, and Redo. Next to those tools, I have what I would like to call my action tools. We have Select, Texture, Stitch, Assign, Insert, Pen, and Annotate. Select tool is going to be the typical tool that you're using most. It allows you to select patterns and other assets as you're creating your garments. Your Texture tool will allow you to move different textures on your garment. Your Stitch tool will allow you to stitch the garment together. Your Assign tool will act like a paint bucket and allow you to load in any types of materials, and then once selected on your other patterns, it will change to that material. Your insert tool will work like your pattern making tools. It has a drop down with different tools that we can use, such as pleats, darts, diamond darts, measure, and slash and spread. The pen tool works very similar to the Illustrator pen tool. It allows us to draft patterns as well as create internal lines on our already existing patterns. This area allows us to tell where we want to place the patterns on the body. Next, we have our size sets. When I select down, if this is a graded pattern, I could sync the patterns with different avatar sizes and view each pattern size on a different sized avatar. Next to that, we have our snapshots where we had just loaded our first snapshot. And following, we have different colorways. I currently don't have any colorways in this file, but as we create some more later on in different lessons, you'll see that this workspace is very, very handy. The next group of buttons are going to be our simulation tools. When I click on the Prepare button, I can see that my 3D styling has been removed, and I now see my garment blown up. A good way to think about Prepare is seeing your 2D flat patterns being dressed on the body without simulated. So I can see exactly where they are placed, but they are not yet simulated. Once I click Dress, that will cause the simulation to start, and I can see my pattern starting to dress. Finish allows me to force finish the simulation, or I can wait until it finishes on its own. I can also select Undress, and it will remove the garment completely from the avatar. I'm going to load my snapshot again so that I do not have to redress, and I go back to a very nice drape. Next to that, we have styling, which we'll cover in a different session. And then we also have rendering and share to style zone. That's going to be the first grouping of our tools in the upper toolbar. The next group of tools are on our far left side. I'll refer to these as our toolbox. We have 4 tabs. We have 2D, Materials, 3D, and Params. The 2D side is going to show us all of our different pattern pieces with corresponding names. For example, if I select Belt, I can see that my belt pattern piece has been highlighted. If my patterns are unnamed, I am able to select on any of these, double-click on the name, and then rename. Next to 2D, we have Materials. Think of your materials as your bill of materials. Under Materials and Garment, I have all the different materials that are being utilized in this specific garment. If I toggle from Garment to Libraries, once this loads, I can see that I have access to all of different Browzwear's cloud libraries. When I select the drop-down, I can see that there's knits, seams and trims, special materials, wovens, as well as different partner libraries such as YKK. Any of these materials can be downloaded from our libraries back to our Garment tab and then utilized within our current garment. In this tab, whenever I click on one of the materials being used, such as this cotton, the far right-hand side will give me an extension menu to all the different properties within this material. Again, if I select the knit, you can see it's changed to all of my different knit properties on this right-hand side. Our fabric in 3D has physics as well as different textures. This is what the right-hand side is showing us, our physics as well as our textures. In our 3D tab, we have 3 subtabs. We have Avatars, Snapshots, and Closet. The avatar side is all the different avatars that I am able to use in my 3D software. For example, if I undress my garment and double-click on Oliver, I can see Oliver is now populated in my side. I am able to dress any of my garments on any of the avatars. My next tab, titled Snapshots, is where all of my snapshots live, as well as where I can save snapshots. I can select my current snapshot, let it load in my 3D side, and let's say, for example, I want to change the pose of my avatar. In my 3D side, I'm going to click this drop down here, change that pose to arm spread, and once the simulation is finished, or if I choose to force finish, I can then save another snapshot. When I click Save Snapshot, located right here in the red, I can title it something else, click OK. Now I have 2 snapshots saved without having to re-simulate the different pose. Please note that snapshots are not screenshots. I'm not taking a picture of this. It is a 360-degree view of the draped garment. Next to snapshots, I have closet. In closet, I can add shoes to my avatar. And under params, we're going to see the difference in stitches. We also have a section here with our rulers in which we can save ruler measurements. Now that we have reviewed most of the layout, I want to talk a bit about navigation. In navigation, we have 2D navigation and 3D navigation. On our 2D side, I'm able to zoom with my mouse wheel. I'm able to hold down the space bar and click to pan the screen, or I'm able to hold down my middle mouse button and pan the screen that way as well. As mentioned when we first started, I can hit the Tab key on my keyboard to expand the window if I only want to see my 2D side. When navigating, we also have manual tools on the upper right-hand side, such as little magnifying glass to zoom in and out. We can marquee select by clicking and dragging closer, and we can also reset our view with the last one. In the upper left-hand corner, we have different hide and show tools. This is going to hide and show different elements within your 2D side. Since my first one is yellow, it is currently showing me the texture. If I uncheck this, I can see that the texture is removed from my garment. I can see my stitches, my nest, as well as various other elements. When you hover over the icon, it will show you what the tool does. In the upper left-hand corner, we are also able to flip our patterns to see the inside view. When I hit the Tab key, I can go back into split screen mode and then hit the Tab key one more time to see my 3D side. My 3D side navigation is going to be a little different than what we're typically used to in 2D programs. In my 3D side, I can click and rotate left and right. The further away from my avatar, the faster it spins. The closer I am, the slower it spins. As soon as I move off of this X-axis and start going up or down on my Y-axis, you can see that she is rotating and spinning. You have to be on that very specific axis so that they are no longer rotating and you're just moving up and down and side. The Z-axis is going to give me my depth, in which I can use my scroll wheel to zoom in and to zoom out. There are manual tools on the right-hand side. I can go up, down, left, right, zooming in, out, and resetting my view. There are also preset camera views in the upper right-hand corner. These are called my ponytail girls. I can go to the side, the back, and the other side. Now, on the upper left-hand corner, we also have other tools utilized in our 3D side. We have our tension and pressure map. This is going to show us the stretch and pressure of the fabric on the body. We have 3D rulers, fast mode, and a few other ones that we'll get to in later lessons. Great job today, guys. We've covered setting up our software and going over the interface. Next lesson is going to cover the basic foundations of creating a garment so that you can have a spectacular 3D garment by the end of this course.